Preacher Girls, welcome to another exciting episode of the PG Podcast. This one is gonna rock your world. I'm so excited about our guest today. Let me introduce you. Many of you know her already, but there are maybe 1,000 of you that don't. So this is, she wears I would say about 65 hats, and I can't tell you each of them right now, but I'll tell you who she is, starting with Tammy. One of my associate pastors here at HopeNYC, the pastor of our children's church, the principal of Ark Academy, the mother of my nieces and nephews, my sister-in-law, my sister. She's a lay counselor here at our church and studying Christian counseling. The list goes on and on, but most recently, she is a published children's author. An awesome woman of God, family to me, and it is my honor to introduce all of the PG girls to Pastor Danielle Ramdial. Hello, Sissy.
Hi, honey.
If I call her Sissy, don't feel bad. If you ever were at HopeNYC, that's what we call her. That's what I call her because she's literally my sissy. So I'm sure that she won't mind if you call her Pastor Sissy.
I won't mind.
Okay, so welcome.
Thank you.
And just before I jump into asking her a million questions, I gotta tell you today's a super day. By the time you see this, we would have been a week into this already. But as of this morning, we have 1,000 subscribers on our Preacher Girl YouTube. I know there are almost 3,000 of you on Facebook, but YouTube is different. It's a whole different demographic. Our goal is 10,000 by December. We think it's so doable, so we need your help to get that done. But jumping into this awesome episode, I'm so excited. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is this book, and then we'll talk a little bit more about you. Okay? And what happened. Tell us, what is Cadence and her superpower of kindness?
Well, it's actually something that was birthed in the spirit first. It came from, something that the Lord had given and put in my spirit, dropped in my spirit years ago, that I finally upped my courage to be able to step out of my comfort zone to write it, to put myself out there to write it. And so this is it in the flesh. It's come to fruition finally. So
okay, but Cadence, let's talk about Cadence.
Okay, yes.
Cadence is my niece, right?
Yes.
So is this book about Katie?
Well, she is the main character. She is the actual star of the book. So in the upcoming series, which is what it is intended to be, with every fruit of the Spirit that she wears on her t-shirt, she will remain the star. So yes, it is about her.
So this is about the fruit of the Spirit. I don't know how many moms out there have trouble finding good things for your kids to read and watch on TV, because they're teaching a lot, but it's not about the fruit of the Spirit. This is such an awesome idea. It's a great way to talk to your kids about the fruit of the Spirit. So let me get this right. On her shirt it says kindness.
Yes.
So with every episode or every book, it's going to be a different.
Right. Yes, exactly that. So as we all know, there's 9, right? And so with every adventure that she takes, whether it be in school or at the park or wherever her story takes her, the fruit of the Spirit that she is invoking will magically appear on her shirt.
I love it. And she wears a cape.
Yes, she wears a cape, a superhero cape.
Which little girl doesn't want to be a superhero anymore? But I'm telling you, we're pretty much sitting next to a superhero. She doesn't see herself that way, but she really is, because my sister-in-law has 4 children. Anybody who has 4 kids with the kind of energy that Noah and Cadence have is a superhero in my book. But let's talk a little bit about how you juggle 4 children and of course a husband who's my brother, and being the principal of a school and the pastor of a children's church. And how do you do all of this and then go get your degree? How do you do all of that? Tell them, because this is what we exist for, because there are people out there who are using any one of those things as a reason to not do what they're called to do. How do you do all of that?
Well, I have to say first and foremost that it's definitely not me. That every day I wake up understanding that my breath is borrowed. And my first thing that I've really had to commit to something that has to become a habit for me is that I have to connect with the Lord every day. And not feeling guilty if life pulls you in different directions and you're not able to. Allowing yourself to just live in grace and be authentic in whatever role or whatever hat that you have to wear for whatever season that it may be. Those are some of the things that has kept me. Mostly God has kept me. Mainly God has kept me every step of the way and has enabled me to be able to do what you said that I do it.
Yeah, no, I want to go back to something you said, which is so good. Everything you said is good, but this particular thing, you wear the hat for the season. I mean, if you're a girl, I mean, you get this. If you're a woman, you get this. You can't really wear a beanie in summer. And I know that's so basic, but really and truly allow yourself to wear the hat in the season that you're called to that. And so connecting with God and showing up with the right attitude, purpose, and determination for what God put in front of you. I know there were days you wanted to quit your degree, for instance.
Many days, yeah.
What do you do on those days? I mean, really, how many of you want to quit today? Put your hand up. I see it. Put it down, put it up. How do you do that?
You just allow yourself to have those moments. And I believe when you allow yourself to have those moments, which are not your best moments by any means, you love yourself. You give yourself the grace to be human and to know that that gives you the opportunity to be able to get a little bit closer to Christ like you never maybe really have done before. It's in those moments, my breaking moments, my moments where I thought surely this one more thing that was added on to my list of things that are always, growing, that it was surely gonna, be the straw that broke the camel's back. But I took that after I picked myself up, after I've enabled and allowed myself to have those moments, because it's important for us to know that as wives, as moms, as whatever our hats are, that, it's okay to have those moments. It's okay. It doesn't mean that we fail. It doesn't mean that we're any less of a woman or a person, or that we're not qualified to do what he says that we can do. It just allows us to connect when he says he's been there before, when he was here before, he was crucified for us. And that really makes a deeper connection.
Yeah, I just saw the t-shirt. I can't think in terms of not seeing the t-shirt that says preacher girls are human too.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. It's what we are. Preacher girls are human too. And sometimes, especially in church circles, we're taught that we can't break down, or we can't have cry moments, or we can't have recuperating moments, or we can't lose it. But girls, I lose it at least once a week. At least once a week I give myself permission to wig out, and that's so it's almost like building up steam and just letting it off. And when you do that, I think you don't explode on your family and your people, and
So from the counselor perspective, I can say that having you just say that, having you admit that, us as women, whenever we admit that we have our moments, there's so much strength in that. There's so much strength in identifying, okay, I can't carry it all.
Yeah. So preacher girls, we've been telling you over and over, you don't need a pulpit to preach, you just need a message. Sissy has so many pulpits, and I want to ask you if you felt like your life has a message, because I know your life has a message, but I feel like if, like John's message was prepare the way of the Lord and make his path straight, and what is the message so far, because it's probably going to evolve, of your life? What is it that you feel like God is speaking through you?
Let's see. Firstly, it would be that we all have a story. We all come from somewhere. Maybe we didn't start out with pedigrees or from lineage or from, legacies, but it doesn't mean it has to finish that way. And so, without getting emotional about it, I've allowed myself to take that journey. And so should you, women and men of God, so should you. I think the most precious thing that we can receive for ourselves is to know that in Christ, we have grace to consistently evolve and grow and change. And little by little, he turns us into a more clearer image of what he is.
Yeah. You don't for most of you, I guess, the majority of you don't know Sissy, don't know her background. I'll give you a little bit of interesting trivia. Sissy was in my youth group. Yes, I was her youth pastor. I really was. Like, all of you who are in, Wild Ones or whatever your youth group is. See?
Wow.
I know. I taught her to dance,
yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Yes, she was in my dance team as well.
And
your plays. She sang in my musicals and today, so many years later, besides the fact that we're family, she's doing ministry with me. We're in the ministry together, and the Lord has even given us so many prophetic dreams and things that show that this is a God thing and it's gonna last for a long, long time. But I feel like if you need to get so many things that she's saying, especially about the unconventional pulpit. This book here is a pulpit. It's a pulpit. It's a way that she is preaching a message that's going to reach people that may never step in a church setting, or may never be in your congregation, or your children may not be able to reach in another way. And let's talk about what kept you back so long from actually doing it, because I know it's been in your spirit, but what were your holdbacks? Because I know there are people who want to do stuff but just can't get it started.
Right. So I would say, definitely the first thing for me would be fear.
Yeah.
Fear. And you would...
Fear of rejection, fear of what?
I think it was just all of the above. Fear of the uncertain, fear of the unknown, fear of the what ifs that constantly play in our mind. And so all of that played in my thoughts and disqualified. I allowed it to disqualify myself from thinking that I could do more, that I can have more.
So how do you deal with that? If there's somebody right now thinking, okay, maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not a good idea, what should they do? What do you think?
Well, definitely something that I was able to tell self would be that, you probably could do it. You probably could. But with Christ, you definitely can. You absolutely can. 100% of the way. So remember that. You probably could do it on your own, right? And maybe it might be good. But if Christ is in it, if he is behind it, if he's, put it in your belly or put it in your spirit, you absolutely can. And so I would say don't allow any thoughts or worry or fear to disqualify what he says that you can do.
Yeah, and I love that. If you are dealing with that kind of fear right now, we're gonna put in the description a link to one of our most popular podcasts. I think it is How to Deal with Fear. It's such a good one for those of you who are chronically fearful or have let fear keep you back from doing what God's called you to do. Check that out, and definitely listen to what Pastor Danielle is saying. If God is in it, you're gonna do it. And if he's not, and it fails, so what? Do something else. And that's what I'm always telling you. You keep throwing darts, you keep throwing them at the board, and it's gonna stick. If it's God's will, he's gonna take you all the way through it. If it's what you wanna do, and if you fail, no big deal. Stop thinking that because something you're a failure, because you're not. You're not, right? Okay, so let's talk about something fun. Today when she walked in, we were sitting down and getting ready to do this interview, and I saw her reach down into her shoe and do a mommy thing. If I reach down into my shoe, nothing happens. She reaches down into her shoe and pulls out a crayon. Who does things like that? I was like, what was in your shoe? She's like, oh, a crayon. Okay. And I'm thinking, how do you juggle 4 kids? Give my girls out here. I mean, we have one PG in particular that has 8 kids, and give them some really practical mommy advice. How do you find time with God with a house of 6?
That's such a valid question. Hats off to our friend, our mom of 8. Hats off to you. If I ever needed to hear, what I'm about to share, I'm so glad I get the opportunity to share it with you today. It's that every day you have to live authentically. Every day And that means you relieve yourself of your to-do list. You relieve yourself of perfection. You relieve yourself of the trap of having to fit in and having to keep up with the Joneses, having to have everything perfect just so you can feel like you're accomplished or you're the right mom, or you deserve to be a mom that's worth looking at. No, you got to just like understand that some days it's going to be messy bun and PJs all day, and you're going to have to be okay with that. And know that at the end of the day, and I've learned this, from my own mom. She's told me that, at the end of the day, if your kids, if they're happy, if they're loved, if they know that they can look to you and you're there, or if you're snuggling on the couch together, know that you've done a good job. Know that you've put them above everything else in your life. And that means, mom and women, that you win.
I love that. Sila. So we have I had her bring the whole kit because this is so exciting. She's releasing the book. It's available on Amazon.com, and you could get that right now. But for those of you PG girls who are listening to this right now, you'll be the first to get in on this really, really special thing that she's doing that I love so much. And you're gonna see my little niece in this in a minute. But tell us what's going on back here with this.
So when I was creating Cadence and I was creating her character, it wasn't difficult to put her together, because if you know Cadence and if you've spent any time around my family, you know that she really is a unicorn in the most literal sense. And that means
she's a jungle gym climbing, yes, trampoline jumping, unicorn with a princess dress.
Absolutely, all those things, and a cowgirl at the same time.
Yes, and cowgirl.
Yes.
And Martian, and whatever else pops into her head.
So I had lots to be able to choose from when I was creating her character, and her most favorite was her superhero character. So that's where I got her whole entire ensemble from. If you read the story, you see that she has cowgirl boots on because that's her favorite, and she has a cape on because this stance right here, that's exactly who she is. She doesn't want her hair primped and polished. She wants it flowing, and that's just exactly who I've allowed her to be in the story. So I thought to self, I said, self, it would really be a great idea if, while I'm giving moms and aunts and grandmothers something that's of the kingdom that kind of levels the field for Christianity or just faith-based, I said, you know what, how about I allow, Cadence to be able to share who she is, not only in her story, but literal with a t-shirt and a red cape. So that's where this idea came from. So every time you have your t-shirt on, every time you have your cape on, you'll remember that kindness
is a superpower.
Yes, it really is. It says so in the word, yes. Number one. But you know what? Kindness is free. And children are so pure while they're young that you can buy them things, you can play with them, or you can talk to them, but they're never, ever, ever going to forget how kind you were to them. And that's where all of this is coming from.
Guys, the cape. I'm in my 40s and I still love a cape. I don't know if you guys ever put a towel around your neck when you were a kid and jumped off the couch.
Yes.
But this one is so cute, and so I know that if you have a daughter, if you have a niece, if you have a granddaughter, I know you're asking, how do I get one? I want one. I know you do. And if it wasn't my niece and she already owned one, I would certainly get it for her. But can they get this?
Absolutely. So this one in particular, it's red. And
it has glitter.
Because every girl likes glitter. But I also have some that were produced and created that just has the regular sans glitter.
So boys.
Exactly. So yes. Boys, can have an option as
well.
So
there's the red without the glitter for the boys, and then there's the red with the glitter for the girls. Right. So this is for your sons too. In fact, I feel like maybe our sons need it.
I feel so too.
Because they have a superhero instinct Absolutely. That comes from the Lord, and Absolutely. They're using it for the wrong things
Absolutely.
right now.
Yeah.
I love it. In this book in particular, Cadence helps a girl who is lonely. That's also based on my niece Hope, who's not lonely. But it's based on her, and it really tackles the the major problem of bullying that's happening in schools right now, and kids who feel alone and feel isolated. And it teaches kids that the kindness of Jesus is the superpower that eliminates loneliness and hurt like that. And our boys need that just as much as our girls need that. So how do we get it?
All right, so we have a package deal.
A package, wait, stop. We love
Everybody loves a good package
bundles,
deal, right?
We call them a bundle, and a bundle is the best.
Yes.
Tell us how to get the whole bundle.
So you can get the book, Cadence and Her Superpower of Kindness. You can get the t-shirt, and you can get the cape for $25.
That's nuts.
$25.
So you get the book, the shirt, and the cape, and I'm telling you, it's for a limited time.
Yes,
We're not going to keep doing that.
Right.
You're going to have to buy each piece separately.
We have
afterwards.
a very limited.
Yes. And guys, imagine if they can collect all 9.
Oh my gosh, that would be so good.
And everyone's going to be a different color, and they're going to have different words written on there. And so the book, the shirt, and the cape is for $25. We're gonna put it in the PG store for you. You can go to pastorsharo.com, go to the store, and it will be there. And we'll have this shipped out. The whole kit, the whole bundle is yours. And I can't tell you how long it's gonna be there. It's gonna be while stocks last, right? So you wanna be one of the first to grab this. I love it. It's a great Christmas gift. So I know you're looking at Pastor Danielle today thinking, well, you know, hooray for you. You have a children's book, and you have a really good life. You have a nice house. You live in New York. You know, you're pretty, whatever. But sometimes when you look at people and you see where God has brought them, it is difficult to understand that they come they have a past that is just as difficult, or maybe just as challenging as the one you might be in right now. Seeing people achieve something or get to where God meant for them to be doesn't mean they didn't have a pit, they didn't have a prison before they ever got to a palace. And so Sissy, I want to ask you, does your childhood lend itself to that, or were you always like a privileged kid and growing up with everything you wanted? How was your past?
It definitely was not the latter. I always, as a matter of fact, I looked at a picture today of when I was barely in my 20s and I couldn't get my head above water. And I kept that picture because I never want to forget where I came from. And so, women of God, girls, fellas, whoever's listening, you definitely may feel like, you know, wherever you are in life, because you know you didn't grow up on the right side of the tracks, or because you couldn't possibly quite fit in with the in crowd, or you know, even family makes you feel like you're not worthy to fit in or to act like you really belong. All those things attribute to your destiny. I'm saying all that to say, as Pastor Sharo said, where I came from definitely makes me who I am today. I definitely did not have it easy. I came from a broken background. I came from a broken home. It would find, you know, you to be shocked that I did come from a shelter. I did come from, you know, abuse as a child, and all those things might make you gasp and say, oh, not you, but yeah, absolutely. I didn't have it easy. Every step that I took in becoming, and that's the important thing, no matter where you are, no matter what difficulty, what kind of life, what kind of upbringing, what type of lack of, you know, an opportunity that you weren't afforded, don't discredit yourself. Because again, like I said in the very beginning of our interview, all that is a part of your story. All of that is a part of your story. So you have two choices, okay? I'm gonna hit you with some counselor talk now. You have two choices. You can take, you know, your upbringing. You can take the brokenness. You can take, you know, the everything that says, you know, in life that you should be disqualified. You can take that and you can become that, and you can live your life that way, and then you can feed it to your kids, and then it'll just continue regurgitating through your generations and your lineage. Or, and here's where you come in, or you can use all that as fuel. You can use all that to say, yeah, you know what? I grew up in that. yeah, it was difficult. It wasn't okay. And you can tell yourself it's all right to be hurt. It's all right to feel dejected. It's all right to not feel like you're worth, life. You can say all that to yourself, and then you can say, but I'm going to go ahead and draw the line for myself anyway. Even if anybody who was in my life as a child did the best that they possibly could in raising me. And don't get me wrong, I love, love, love my family, and I love my parents as I am now, because I understand where I came from doesn't mean that that's where I have to stay. If you're going to grow, if you're going to become something, it's because you are going to allow yourself the opportunity to draw the line in the sand and say, that's where I came from, but I don't have to stay in that.
Oh my
you
gosh,
can become
I gotta stop
bigger.
you. I love that. I love that, because right now in the United States of America especially, and all over the world, we have people who are doing either suffering from a very, very large dose of a victim mentality and allowing the past to become who they are and to shape who they are, and causing hurts of the past to be transferred into their future. When what Danielle is saying, she's saying just draw the line and say, I know where I came from. I understood. I'm not denying that those things ever happened to us and happened to me, but from this point forward.
Right.
I love that, because it will be so liberating.
It really is exactly that.
People, because people look at you and think, you don't know where I came from, or you don't know what I've been through. I know her story. And I'm telling you, there are few of you here. I don't know, I can't say for sure because I don't know all of you personally, but not many of you, I didn't have to go through what she went through. So everybody's got their challenges, and one of the big tricks of the enemy is to make you feel like yours are worse. There's nobody who has it as bad as you do.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, God, when you draw that line in the sand and you say, Lord, I'm stepping into what you have for me.
Absolutely.
God has the ability, oh my gosh, and he takes old things and makes them new.
Absolutely.
I love that. And I feel like if that word that she just shared with you there will change somebody's life. I'm gonna invite you guys to, if you have a question, if there's something going on in your life that you would like to have Pastor Danielle's input with, you can just write that down. You can direct message her on Instagram. You could send it to the Preacher Girl email, and we will make sure she sees it, responds to you, and does her best to give you God's advice in whatever situation that you have. So Sissy, thank you so much. So much. We love you. Thank you for being part of this and for bringing your heart to the Preacher Girl studio. This is her heart. This is not just a book. She didn't sit down one day and think. No, she travailed over it and thought about it and prayed about it. And it is prayer and love that went into it. And it can change your kid's life and inevitably change all of our lives altogether. So jump on right now. We're going to put the link to the store where you can go and get this stuff. I know you can buy it from Amazon, but you won't get the full bundle, right?
That's right.
So make sure you go there and get it. And shout out to Sissy. Tell her how much you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It was so good to interview you. And girls, remember, you don't need a pulpit to be a preacher. You just need a message. And if God calls you, no one can uncall you. Love you so much.